lost you one. Will there ever be a second time around? Oh, when the tears are over and the moment has come, say, my Lord, I think I found someone.
Season 1, Episode 1, Pilot, aired September 20th, 1991, with a total of 24.6 million views. This episode kicks off by showing us both households separately, Frank's chaotic bachelor pad and Carol's busy family home. Before either family even meet, it actually gives major Brady Bunch plot vibes. We start at Frank Lamberts' house where the kids are trying to make breakfast. His place screams single dad energy. There's a mess everywhere and barely any space at the kitchen table. JT brings out a few boxes of cereal for Al and Brennan. But surprise, they're all empty. Frank strolls in fresh off a week-long vacation and asks if they're glad he's back. Al immediately points out there's no food in the house. JT offers her a sketchy bowl of old cereal that's been sitting out, and Frank casually reminds everyone not to leave dishes in the sink for more than 4 days, which, wow, is apparently the bar for his house. When it's time for school, Al says her stomach hurts. Frank brushes her off, assuming she's just trying to skip class, and sends her anyway. Then we shift over to Carol's house, where things are a bit more structured. Her kids Mark, Dana, and Karen are sitting at the table when Aunt Penny, Carol's sister, rushes in panicking because she has a client arriving soon for a hair appointment and Carol is nowhere to be seen. Dana explains Carol's running late. Moments later, Carol comes downstairs, still halfway dressed and totally frazzled. Dana says she let her sleep in since it was her first day back from vacation. Carol bolts into the attached salon, still getting herself together. Once inside, Carol's mom Ivy and sister Penny immediately bombard her with questions about her trip, especially if she met a man. Carol looks flustered and nervous, which makes it very obvious that something happened. Penny and Ivy can practically smell the gossip. Right then, Frank walks into the salon. Yep, that Frank. Carol quickly lies, saying they're just going into the kitchen to make some coffee. Once they're alone, Frank passionately kisses her and dips her on the kitchen island like he's straight out of a telenovela. Carol pulls away and tells him she wants a divorce. Frank is like, divorce? We've only been married 36 hours. I've had longer dates than this. Carol is spiraling, saying she didn't even know he'd be on the same vacation. Frank admits it wasn't fake. He actually found out where she was going through her travel agent and followed her there. Which to Carol is apparently romantic, even though it raises so many red flags. I mean, a client tracking you down on vacation by getting personal info from your travel agent? Major privacy breach. Carol says this whole situation is crazy. Their kids haven't even met. Frank suggests they fake it, lie to their kids, pretend they're dating, get engaged, and then reveal they got married. Problem solved. The next day, Frank brings his kids over to Carol's house for a barbecue so everyone can meet. Carol is awkward and nervous the entire time. When Dana and JT meet, they immediately recognize each other. Turns out, JT once put a rat in her locker, so great start. Outside, Penny chats with Al and notices her necklace. When Al says it's a gift from her dad's vacation, Penny connects the dots. Frank and Carol went on the same trip. Frank later asks JT what he thinks of Carol. JT says maybe he should date her, but don't get too involved. Then, he casually calls her a bimbo, which Frank shuts down immediately. Chaos fully erupts when Karen storms out of the house yelling that Al got ketchup on her dress, and suddenly the whole family is in a full-blown food fight. In the middle of it, Penny blurts out, "I bet you two still wish you were on vacation," and everything goes dead silent. Dana picks up on it fast and questions whether Frank and Carol were on the same trip. JT puts two and two together and realizes Dad is already dating the bimbo. Frank again tells him to stop calling her that, but then lets it slip that they're married. 3 days later, the Lamberts are moving in. Dana's first reaction is a red flag, as they packed up and moved this fast. She and Karen help unpack until Karen sees Al's pet pig and freaks out. Another little squabble happens between the girls. Carol watches it unfold and tells Frank that maybe this isn't going to work, but Frank insists it'll be fine in the long run, and then, of course, kisses her again. The next morning, Frank oversleeps and comes downstairs late. Carol reminds him that in her family, everyone eats breakfast together, which is ironic because when we met Carol, she was not eating breakfast with her kids. But okay, maybe she was just tired from her trip. As they try to figure out their routine, Al once again says her stomach hurts. Frank tells Carol not to fall for it, just Al trying to get out of not going to school again. But when Carol checks on her, she decides to take her to the doctor. Later that day, Al needs surgery for her appendicitis. The whole family is at the hospital, and Frank Bradley admits he should have listened to her. When the doctor comes out, he says Al did great and wants to see someone. Frank assumes it's him, but nope, it's the bimbo. Ouch. Carol goes in to see Al, who apologizes for not remembering her name and calling her the bimbo. Carol explains that she just wants to be friends and reminds her that they both have something in common. They love Frank. Frank watches from the doorway as Carol hugs Al, the first real moment of connection between them.